Late December 1974, Bob Dylan is spending the holidays at his Minnesota farm, and he plays an acetate of his soon-to-be-released new album, Blood on the Tracks, for his younger brother David. Now, Dylan had recorded the songs for this album 3 months earlier in New York, and ever since then, the buzz has been growing that this is the best collection of songs he's written in nearly a decade. But as he's listening to the album, Dylan is dissatisfied with it. All the songs were recorded in a very spare manner, with Dylan playing acoustic guitar in open tuning. Most of the songs feature him accompanied only by a bass player. And he starts thinking that the songs are too samey sounding. They're too spare. There's not enough going on sonically. His brother agrees and suggests that he can get some Minnesota musicians together and they can do recording sessions and redo some of the songs. So Dylan ends up going in and recording 5 of the 10 songs that ended up on Blood on the Tracks. One of the ones he ended up recording was the leadoff track, Tangled Up in Blue, which is an epic elliptical tale of doom love, and it sets the tone for the entire album. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the final recording and how a masterstroke from the session bass player really transformed the song. But before we do that, I'm going to play a little bit of what the New York version sounded like. Early one morning, the sun was shining. He was laying in bed, wondering if she'd changed at all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said their lives together sure was gonna be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough. So that was basically what it sounded like in New York. In Minnesota, Dylan featured a full band, unlike what he had in New York. And that band included bass player Billy Peterson, who was an accomplished session bassist and who also played in a local jazz band. Well, I've retuned my guitar, and the reason I've done that is because a key difference between the New York version of Tangled Up in Blue and the Minnesota version of Tangled Up in Blue is that whereas Dylan played in open E tuning in New York, in Minnesota, on all the songs he recorded there, he used standard tuning. Another key difference was, in the case of Tangled Up in Blue, he brought the song up from E, which is what he had recorded it at in New York. He brought it up to A, so he's singing in a much higher register. But to me, the key difference between the two versions of the song is something that was introduced by bass player Billy Peterson. Now, the main part of the song, the core of the song, has a chord change going from A to G. But Peterson decided while in the studio that when that chord change happens, he's going to stay on A. He's going to ride that A and not make the change from A to G. This creates kind of a drone effect. Now, there are plenty of examples in pop music of drone effects where a bass stays on the same note when there are chord changes. One example is on Broadway by the Drifters. They say the neon lights so bright on Broadway. Another one is Tomorrow Never Knows by the Beatles. They were, I think, influenced by the Indian music that they were getting into. They started using drones in various songs, and Tomorrow Never Knows is a key example of that. Paul McCartney stays on a C on the bass while the chords change from C to B flat. Turn off your mind, relax and float downstream. It is not dying. It is not dying. But that kind of drone effect on the bass, this is something that you hadn't found in Bob Dylan's music. There were no examples really on any of his records of that kind of thing. And the arrangements for his songs tended to be things that happened by chance, things that musicians in the spur of the moment brought to them. And I think the change that Billy Peterson brings to this is so crucial. I'm going to play you just a little bit of what it sounded like with him playing that A on the bass while the guitarists, including Dylan, are going from A to G. He keeps playing this. that A while the chords are changing. Early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she'd change it all, if her hair was still red. Her folks said our life together sure was gonna be rough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress. Papa's bank book wasn't big enough. Now the effect this has, holding that bass on A, it maintains a tension. Everything feels really tightly coiled. And so there's a big release when it bursts out of that into, I was standing by the side of the road, rain falling on my shoe, heading out for the East Coast road, South Paints and Dunes, getting through, tangled up in blue. So this was a crucial element that he added to the song. And if you listen to the isolated tracks for it, there's nothing in Dylan's acoustic guitar playing that suggests the drone note. When he played the song late 1975 on the Rolling Thunder Review tour, he played it a full step down. He played it in G instead of A. There's no use of drones. And this will give you an idea of what it would have sounded like if Billy Peterson had just played the chord changes, A to G. Early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she changed it all, if her hair was too, as opposed to, early one morning the sun was shining. I was laying in bed, wondering if she changed it all. I think it's a major difference. And so this was a great song to begin with. It was a great song in its New York version. It was a great song when Dylan re-recorded it. But this element made it really special. It made it sonically richer, and I think it really added to the tension and the drama in the song. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.